Before looking at some examples, it's worth noting the types of error that will possibly occur in our applications. We have coding errors, which are either syntactic, that is, they don't conform with the required PHP syntax. They can be semantic, which means they actually do have the right syntax, but they have the wrong meaning. Or they can be logic errors, which direct processing to the wrong place. We also have database errors and file errors and data entry errors. The first three categories are pretty much controllable by the programmer. The final type is the one that concerns us most, where the user enters wrong data. Let's have a look at some examples. We've created a test harness in our examplets and errors snippets. And if we open the snippet error template, it simply provides a file surround for this file error testing, which we're going to save in the demo folder. And in between the echo error testing and echo end, we'll paste some examples of some errors. First of all, let's look at some syntax errors. Paste the snippet syntax errors. And this simply says echo a heading syntax errors and set the variable a to the value 8 times 5 and echo 8 times 5 equals sign, then the value a. So we'll save the file and find in our demo folder, which we'll need to refresh to find the file error testing, and run that, and we get an error. And it tells us a number of things about the error, some of it not terribly helpful, but at least it tells us what line it's on, and it says here that it's a syntax error with an unexpected t-string. Now that probably means nothing, but let's have a look at line 10 and see what that can tell us. In line 10, we should be able to see straight away that we've said assign the variable a to 8x5. I think what we meant to do was say 8 times 5 using the asterisk as the multiplication operator. Let's save that and run it again. This time we have a syntax error expecting a comma or semicolon in line 17. Again, let's have a look at the code. And we can't see anything wrong with line 17, so there's a very important lesson to be learned here. Because the semicolon is missing off the end of line 11, the interpreter has suggested that all of this is one line, or at least it sees it as one line, and so it's reported the error as being on line 17. But let's see what happens if we put the semicolon correctly at the end of line 11, save the file, and rerun the application. And yes, we get a heading, syntax errors, and we get the output that we specified, 8x5 equals sign, and then the result, which was the variable $. Getting rid of all of that by deleting it and pasting in the semantic error, we have a heading again, semantic error, and then a for loop for I down to 2, echo I, then echo a break, echo $I equals sign, and then the value of variable I and a break. Let's save that and run it. And there's no error, but we simply get $I equals 5 as the printout. $I equals 5. Here you have to understand exactly what we were intending to do. What we've actually said is start at a value of 5 for the variable I, increase I, increment I, while I is less than 2. Well, I will never be less than 2, so the echo I will never occur, and the only thing that will occur will be this piece of text equal to the value of I, which never got away from being 5, and that's why we got $I equals sign 5. Now let's look at an example that's a semantic error, but not a logic error. Again, a heading, set the variable I to 9 and the variable test to 3, and echo $I equals value of I, and echo $test equals the value of test. That's pretty straightforward. That's simply going to print out the value of these variables and let us know what they are. And then we say, if I equals test, then echo I equals test, else echo I is not test. So what do we actually expect here? Let's save it and run and refresh. I equals 9, test is 3, I equals test. But clearly I and test are not equal. Can you spot the error? Hopefully you can. We've said if I is set to the value test, which will always be true, then print out I equals test. What we meant to say here is if I has the same value as test, then print I equals test or I equals not equal to test. Save that, refresh the page, and now of course we get I is not equal to test because we have said correctly if I has the same value as opposed to if I is set to the value of test. Once again, getting rid of that example and pasting the logic error example, we have here two variables set to constant values, and we're echoing the value of those so it tells us on the output. And then we have an if else statement where the logic is wrong. Let's save it and run it by refreshing it. ij equals 4, ji equals 2, ij equals ji, which is clearly not true. I'm leaving this an exercise for you to find the logic error in that if else statement. Now we'll close that error test and load the file database create test. This is a complete file in its own right. It has a connection script, and we'll save this as a create test table. Once again, in the demo folder, because we're simply demonstrating errors and security here. We have a drop and create table script here. The variable is set to drop table test. We echo table dropped if the query is successfully executed, and we echo failed to drop otherwise. And we introduce here a new MySQL command within PHP, MySQL error. So if there was an error in the MySQL query, then the else part of this if statement will be executed and echo the MySQL error. Now, of course, there is no table test in our database, so we do expect an error here. Let's save that, and in the demo folder, find create test table. And indeed, the error statement is executed, failed to drop table, unknown test, table added. So what's happened here? We've printed out in red failed to drop table, which is what we expected, failed to drop table in red, and we've printed out error message unknown table test. Well, that was to be expected, but what's this table added? That's the second part of the script. Create table test. We didn't execute failed to add table. We actually executed table added. So now in our database, we should be able to find, if we refresh Alpha CRM, a table test. And we see that we've added this table test with fields ID and test item, fields ID and test item.